evening, everybody. Thank you very much for attending our Friends of the Library general meeting. Usually we have, as Bob said, one speaker, an author, who talks about his book and gives an in-depth knowledge of the book and sells us copies of the books and autographs them. Tonight we're going to have 8 speakers, so rather than one speaker for an hour, each speaker is going to get about 7 minutes tonight. There's not going to be questions asked by me or by the audience, but there will be about 20 minutes after all the speakers have spoken. You can go to their tables and ask them questions directly. Besides thanking you for showing up, I think we all should thank the candidates for willing to step up and do public service and serve in elected office, because it is an extra burden on your life. You can't live off what you make in the special districts, and you have to hold down a job and do all this service. So I want to thank all of you for showing up. And since we're talking about special districts, and like Bob said, if you walk around, you might not ever see a special district candidate. I want to give you like about a 3-minute overview of special districts. Basically, they're districts formed to perform a certain function that is needed, such as water or sewer or cemetery. And a lot of times they're formed before a city is formed. So that is why you'll see the sphere of influence of a special district larger than a city. All the 3 special districts that we're going to hear from tonight, Mesa Water serves more than Costa Mesa. It does parts of Newport Beach. It does unincorporated areas of Orange County. The Costa Mesa Sanitary District does parts of Newport Beach, City of Costa Mesa, parts of Orange County. And the Orange County Water District serves Costa Mesa, parts of Costa Mesa, Fountain Valley, Tustin, Irvine, Newport Beach. So they all cover more than what one city. In California, there are 2,160 special districts, so they're not rare. That number actually shows a decline of 7% in the number of special districts over the last 20 years as local LAFCOs, which are local agency formation commissions, decided to either merge, consolidate, or dissolve special districts. 85% of them perform a single function. The rest of those that don't usually do 2, it's usually most common water and sanitary together. Examples of special districts are cemetery districts, recreation districts, fire districts, police districts, water districts, sewer districts, vector control districts. There's a huge list of them. And there's 2 types. There's enterprise and non-enterprise. The enterprise districts are those that actually perform a service they charge a fee for. A hospital district will charge fees only to its patients. It won't charge the whole community at large. A water district will only charge the users of water, and a sanitary district will charge the users of the sanitary district. But there's other districts, like the cemetery, fire, police, recreation, vector control, pest abatement districts that serve an entire community, and fees aren't so easily applicable to individual people. So they're financed through property taxes, and you'll see that on your property taxes. And special districts are governed by different members of boards, usually 5, but I mean up to 10. They're either elected or appointed. If they're elected, obviously by the voters. If they're appointed, it is from either a city council or the board of supervisors. But no matter how they get their job, they are just as accountable as any government that you ever see, like a city council. They're subject to the Brown Act for the open meetings laws. They're subject to the Public Records Act so that you can go petition for public records on the minutes, the agendas, any expense reimbursements or stipends to the directors. You can find out the whole story just by making a public records request. And they're also subject to the FPPC, Fair Political Practices, of disclosing gifts of monies or trips or anything like that. You also can find other campaign contributors, if there are any. So it's a very open form of government. And there's 27 special districts in Orange County. And I'm going to tell you why I think they're good. But before that, I want to make a disclaimer that I am an elected director of a special district. I'm president of Mesa Water District. And I have a little bias, and I've also been elected by the 27 special districts in Orange County to represent them on Orange County LAFCO, the commission I mentioned earlier about doing dissolutions mergers and consolidations. And it's important because at LAFCO, which is made up of 3 county supervisors, 3 special district representatives, and 3 city council members, and 2 members of the public, we're charged with doing every 5 years a sphere of influence review and a municipal service review, ensuring that the special districts, we review every special district in Orange County, and we review every city in Orange County to make sure they're delivering government services at an efficient and quality level, and if they're not, we look at consolidations, mergers, dissolutions, or whatever is necessary. Right now, our reviews, we have no problems with any spheres of influences or the finances of any of the cities or special districts. So there's no hostile takeovers on the horizon. However, many people feel there's too many special districts. They can petition to have consolidations. We would study to see if it makes sense. So with that disclosure, I'm going to tell you special districts are great. And the reason they're great is that they're the best form of government, obviously, is local government. Special districts are local, closest to people, and better yet, they focus on one issue: water, sewer, fire, or 85% of them do. What that means is that you have their ear, your elected representatives, on that one subject. The directors hear your priorities, they hear your concerns, they're more flexible, they can do better long-range planning than larger bureaucracies. So that is why I think they're a great form of government, and I fully support them. So tonight, we have candidates from the water districts, Orange County Water District, Mesa Water District, and the Costa Mesa Sanitary District. And I think we all agree that the services they focus on are very important to us in our life. Without water, you can just not even worry about police or fire safety. We wouldn't be here. Without sanitary, we would have a very unhealthy community. We all know how great it feels to turn on the tap, and there's your water, to flush the toilet, and the sewage flows away. And we're all thankful every week when the garbage truck comes and takes 2 containers of our trash away, and we feel a little cleaner again around our house. So these are obviously very special services done by special districts. So tonight we're going to meet the people that are in office providing these services, and we're going to meet a challenger or 2 that feels they may have a better idea. And with that, we're going to start. What we had done is flip the coin whether to do water or sewer sanitary first. Water came up. We decided we would start with the smallest election, which is the Mesa Water, which is just as important as anything, but as far as territory, the smallest. And Mesa Water actually is elected by division. It's divided into 5 divisions in the city, each serving about 20 to 22,000 people. And the only contested election this year is in Division 4. And we're going to hear from the incumbent and the challenger. And we also decided that the order of speaking would be however they were listed on the ballot. So with that, for Mesa Water District 4, we have the challenger, Ron Amburgey. And Ron, you got like 7 minutes or so, whatever you want to do. Is there a timer here? There's a timer here. You don't have to fill it up, but you can't go too much past. Okay, that's
okay.
It.
All right. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ron Amburgey. I was born and raised here in Costa Mesa. Graduated from Costa Mesa High School and Orange Coast College back in the 70s, the good old days. Married my high school sweetheart. We have 3 sons. Most of them are out of the house by now. Still got one hanging on. But a couple dogs. Anyway, I've never run for office before, so this is my first time. And I'm having a blast. I'm going out, talking to people, knocking on, I made it my goal to knock on every door in my division, Division 4, and I pretty much accomplished that. I mean, at least we've tried. Some people don't come to the door, but we're making a good try at it. And I got a lot of helpers. I have some great friends that are out there walking with me, and it's been real hot, and we're just getting it done. It's pretty neat when you get to talk to people because, you know, not a lot of people know who their representative is or really what the board does, what the district does. So you get to talk to them. And what I've noticed a lot is, especially the older folks, they know that the rates have gone up substantially. So that's one of my areas that I got involved, I got interested, let's say, back in last June, there was an article in the Register you guys probably saw, and it talked about some of the things our board was doing. Well, from that, I took notice, and in last December, I went to the board meeting where they voted for another 5-year increase. And it was myself and another gentleman there speaking out against the increase. In my opinion, we didn't need it. And of course, they passed it, and here we are. So, you know, I'm currently on the board of Costa Mesa United. I'll probably be the president of that group next month. And I'm on the board of Youth Employment Service. I've been doing that since 1987. Started out with the Lions Club. I know a lot of these guys, a lot of friends, but you know, currently I'm not feeling the love, and it's mostly most of the sanitation guys are endorsing my opponent. All the water guys are. And when I first started, I said I'm for term limits. So right away, that's not a good thing in their eyes, because some of them have been there a long time. And anyway, I'm not going to take too much of your time. There's a lot of issues out there. I don't want to get negative. I know I'm running for Jim's seat. He's been there 16 years. He's a good guy. Been working hard at it, but I think it's time for new blood in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you for your participation in our democracy and coming up with ideas for everyone to consider. Appreciate it. Next, we will have the incumbent running for re-election, Mr. Jim Atkinson, current representative at District 4. Jim. Thanks, Jim. Your timer guys, right?
Okay. Well, hopefully I don't need 7 minutes either. My name is Jim Atkinson, and I'm running for re-election to the Mesa Water District Board. I'm committed to clear, clean, and reliable water. That's Mesa's mission. That's what we as a special district are committed to. And we've got a great board. We've made some long-range plans. We've made some short-range plans. We've made some great improvements in what other boards have done before us and what other boards will be able to do after us. Our water is 100% groundwater. That means that we're not reliant on the changes that occur for imported water. Those changes affect the wholesale agencies like Orange County Water District you're going to hear from later this evening. But okay, I'm sorry about that. I'm an advocate for responsible financial strength and transparency. I have been for as long as I've been on the board. It's your water district, and we want you to know what we're doing. So through communicating with our customers, we help them see the strength and the transparency of what goes on. The long-term planning horizons are necessary in the water industry. If you think back in the 1930s, it was the water boards then that made plans for the Colorado River Aqueduct. If they hadn't made those plans then, we'd be in big trouble today without the water from the Colorado Aqueduct. In the 60s, it was the planners who established the California Aqueduct. Those horizons are tremendous, but they've done a great job in providing for our futures and for our children's futures. And that's important when we consider water is one of the most important elements of our life. So I'm a long-standing ratepayers advocate. That's a matter of public record. It's on record that I voted no in the last rate hearings. My fellow board members will tell you that they were a little disappointed in my no vote, but I had some other ideas about how some of the things should be done, and so I didn't support the rate increase at the time. Another example of that, when we were getting ready to plan the celebration for the Mesa Water Reliability Facility, I voted no on the event planning issues for that event as well. I didn't see the need for the significant expense that was going out there. I'm glad it happened now. It was a terrific event across the industry, not just in Costa Mesa, but across the whole industry. And that's important for the industry to recognize the significance of our board and the significance of our accomplishment with that facility. It's the facility that allows us to be 100% local and reliable, and that's a very important position. Well, Mesa gets all of its income from rates. 95% of our income comes from rates. The other 5% from some investments and from developer fees and connection fees. But we're primarily a rate-based operation, which means the costs are what it costs us. And when you talk about what it costs you, my opponent talks about he doesn't think we need the rate increases, but I imagine you've all been paying attention to your electric bills. The biggest cost in water is electricity. Moving the water from there to there, wherever there is probably the most expensive piece of the water puzzle. And we have to anticipate those rates. We set a defined limit for our rates. We don't set a hard rate. Our rate increases were set, I think at this stage, it's a 3.5% increase. We don't necessarily have to take that every year, but we can if the rates go up, if the electricity rates and the costs of water go up to the point that we have to charge that much. But we've anticipated all of that with our rate increases. I'm a strong advocate for pipe and infrastructure renewal and replacement. I've been an advocate of that for 16 years on the board. It's important. Pipe costs for replacement are about $1.5 million per mile. Mesa owns 350 miles of pipe. So you can see we have about $500 million in assets in the ground just in pipe. That doesn't count the 9 wells that we use. The wells are about $2.5 to $3 million apiece. So there's a significant investment that you have in your water district in the rates that you pay. And we as a board are the stewards of your investment in that water district. Talking about rates, one of the issues there, we have strived for a number of years now to achieve a AAA bond rating. AAA bond rating is very important because when we go out to finance a project, with the AAA bond rating means we get the lowest interest rates available for the financing of that project, that pipe replacement, that well renewal project, whatever it is that we might have to finance. We achieved that slightly before we went out to bid for the colored water facility, the Mesa Water Reliability Facility. And just this week, we got a message back. Our AAA ratings have been affirmed. And I'd like to read you a quote from Fitch, which is one of the rating agencies. Every year they do a review of our bond rating and they do an update. And the quote I'd like to read you is from their assessment letter. It reads, "Good rate discipline. The district's board has raised rates as needed, adopting multi-year rate increases to ensure strong financial performance. Rates compare favorably relative to area providers and income levels, affording additional rate flexibility." So what that means is our AAA rating was sound. It's based on good financial policies and practices, and the rate was necessary for us to maintain that. Mesa's board has set examples in the industry, okay? And one of those examples is having led the charge on protecting annexations to the groundwater basin from agencies that are on the perimeters. We led the charge for cost-neutral annexation, and were successful in having the producers follow that, and having Orange County Water District set a policy that meant that all of the annexations at the time and in the future will be cost neutral to all of the producers, so it doesn't raise our cost. It saved all of the producing agencies millions of dollars in the years to come. So thank you for the time this evening. I really appreciate you coming out to hear us, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 4th.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we'll move on to the Orange County Water District. As I said, that is that's who manages the ground basin, and it encompasses parts of the cities of Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, Fountain Valley, and Tustin, and Irvine. And the first speaker up is Councilmember Wendy Leece.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Thank you, friends of the library. Why should you vote for me for Orange County Water District Area 7? First of all, I'm not a career politician. I'm just like one of you. You can trust me to represent your interests, just like I have for 8 years on the Costa Mesa City Council, 4 years on the Parks and Recreation Board, and 8 years on the school board, and 5 years on the Vector Control District. And so I want you all to make sure you empty your pots, because those little mosquitoes, they found another one, and you don't want to get bitten because it's really dangerous. I am a servant leader. I serve the people, not special interests who might gain financially by my voting a certain way. I do not accept donations more than $100, so that I always vote my conscience. Like you, I use a lot of water, but you know, I've cut back, and in fact, if you've been over to my house recently, you know that I'm redoing my lawn with my daughter's help so that I can replace it with drought-tolerant plants. My priority is to equally represent all the ratepayers in Area 7 and not be conflicted in any votes. I'm not on the board of another water district like Mr. Dewane, who has no contest on his seat for the Mesa Water District. I believe it's District 5. My mind won't be going back and forth trying to remember which group to represent. When I vote, my vote will be pure for the people of Area 7, like Mr. Fisler explained. I won't have to stop and think which hat am I wearing and have a conversation with myself when I go to one of the many water meetings. I will represent the Orange County Water District Area 7 ratepayers. I will bring a clear, fresh, transparent voice to the ever-present water issues debate. The drought is serious, and it may not rain. You need someone like me with a clear head to make prudent, frugal decisions. I don't have any ethical or legal conflicts of interest with any industry lobbying groups associated with desalination. I can look at the issue of Poseidon objectively. I have not been involved in the evolution of a non-profit group called Cal Desal from Mesa Water. I don't hold any office in that group. I will fight to have the Orange County Water District ad hoc, subcommittee, executive committee, whatever they are, open to the public, and to have the meetings streamed and held at convenient times for the public, not at 8 a.m. Recently, I have gone to some of these subcommittee meetings. They're not in public. It's a interesting way to interpret the Brown Act, where the committee members are there, but also the rest of the board. So basically what happens is a lot of the important decisions are made in these subcommittee meetings, and then when they come to the regular public meetings, they've already decided how they're going to vote. Last night I attended a meeting where, because all the details had been hashed out, in the committee meetings, the only thing left was to decide if Orange County Water District and the Orange County Business Council should have a joint press release or write an op-ed, and whose name should be first, and that was silly. So I'm not beholden to any special interest. My opponent has already committed to recycling through desalination, while I have yet to comprehensively study arguments on either side because I'm still serving my council term. I have not already made up my mind. We know that information on water is changing daily. Decisions on water quality, storage, and recycling require careful, prudent thought going forward, and those of you who see me on the city council know that that's what I do. I do my homework. We're getting ready to vote on Proposition 1. This is a lot of money. $7.2 billion bond measure for water quality, supply, and infrastructure. And if passed, it's a game changer, as funds would be available for funding a variety of water projects and programs, and to invest in large-scale water infrastructure projects and local and regional water supply reliability. So funding would be on a competitive basis, and I would be involved to represent you, not any special interests who would stand to benefit financially from the new projects. You can trust me to represent you and listen to your ideas, concerns, and water problems. I've traveled the length and the breadth of Area 7. There are more than 100,000 registered voters, so you can figure out how many people live there. When I go to the meeting, I will represent you, not Mesa Water. There will be no confusion if I go to any other water meetings. And I will not bill the district for any kind of meeting that I go to, like with the Rotary Club or a city council meeting or a lunch meeting. Because it's just like city council. When I meet with people for coffee at Mimi's, I get paid through the city council, but I wouldn't charge the water district for those special meetings. I will only turn in my meeting hours for official meetings. Now, the issue of Poseidon and Costa Mesa is very important to me and all of you too, and it's very controversial because it could involve tearing up Adams or putting the pipeline along the back of Tanager. And I've always questioned the fact that there was lack of transparency for informing the residents about how the proposed construction plans were not really clear. Well, interestingly enough, as I was going back some old information, there was a letter that the city of Costa Mesa, Ernesto Munoz, wrote to Mesa Water, basically contradicting what Mesa Water had said to the Coastal Commission, that it wasn't a big deal for the pipe to go through Costa Mesa, that in the letter to the commission as set forth. Poseidon, this is what Mesa said, Poseidon is not pursuing and Mesa Water is not evaluating a pipeline route for the project within the coastal zone in Costa Mesa. No additional discretionary permits are required from Costa Mesa for the pipeline routes within Costa Mesa boundaries that Poseidon is pursuing as part of the project, which are all located outside of the coastal zone. But that's not true, and Ernesto goes on to say that it's a contradiction and it isn't correct. Should I run out of time? 1 more minute? Okay. So and then also I have a letter that, as you mentioned, Mr. Bill Burke, he wrote a letter earlier this year, January 6th, and bringing up the issues with Poseidon, and that was why I asked Ernesto to give me the answer, because of the concerns that Mr. Burke has as a resident who backs up to Placentia and Fairview Park. And so my point is I'd like you to vote for me because I will continue to represent the people, not special interests. I am very frugal and I will vote what's best for the ratepayers, and I would ask that you take a sign, take my cards, pass them out, and please vote for Wendy Leece for Orange County Water District. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. It's a great day in America, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'm proud to serve our great little city of Costa Mesa as the board president of the Orange County Water District. I'm married and lived in the community for 27 years. I have 3 children, and I'd like to also thank my wife, who's standing in the back of the audience here, because without her support, I could not serve the community as I have for the past 10 years. I own an investment firm called Dewane Investment Strategies. I manage about $150 million for people all over the country, including individuals and institutions, and I am a financial expert. Water is fundamental to our quality of life and key to the economic development of our community. 10 years ago, I was first elected to Mesa Water District, and I have put my earnest effort into solving a complex financial puzzle for that utility. And I believe what we have defined today is the optimal capital structure of that utility. It is important that water is inexpensive, pure, plentiful, and affordable. Those 3 characteristics are what you told me you wanted in your water utility. I've worked very diligently to make sure that we are able to deliver that. Today, we have a world-class facility known as the Mesa Water Reliability Facility locally that provides us a virtually drought-proof supply of water that is tapped into an aquifer that could last for more than 1,000 years. Together with your help, we have accomplished a lot. Our district, Mesa, and the Orange County Water District are both AAA rated. They're AAA rated by 5 nationally rated statistical rating organizations, Moody's, Fitch, Standard & Poor's. You've heard the names before. Why is that important? As a financial expert, I understand that the cost of financing massive infrastructure projects is extremely important. A 1% reduction in the cost of financing reduces the cost of our biggest projects, the capital infrastructure projects that we build, by 25%. That 25% savings is reflected in the rates, the water rates that you pay. We collect a small portion, less than a fraction of a cent, to put into a reserve account to supply, to provide for the water utility in case of times of disaster. If there's an earthquake, if the Newport Inglewood Fault were to let go, there will be pipe breaks in the city. It will take much time and much money to fix those pipes. Not only does this concept apply to Mesa Water District, it applies to the Orange County Water District as well. You may have heard of another project I had a hand in called the Groundwater Replenishment System. It is the largest water recycling facility in the world. I personally have hosted the heads of state of every foreign government in the world that have come to see what we have built. That project alone was about $750 million. Recently, I voted to appropriate another $147 million to expand that project, which will, in 2015, deliver 100 million gallons a day of fresh drinking water to 2.4 million people in our service area. These are extremely complex, extremely difficult decisions to make in an organization as big as the Orange County Water District. This takes a lot of time, a lot of consideration, and bold, visionary leadership to get these decisions made and to get them through and to get these projects built on time, on schedule, and on budget. In addition to that, I've advocated for an increase in what's called the basin pumping percentage. The basin pumping percentage determines how much water the local utility can take from the ground. The way the system works is that the Orange County Water District, we fill up the earth with water, 500,000 acre feet per year. The local retail agencies like Mesa Water and 19 other agencies in our service area pump that water back out of the ground and serve it to you, the customer. That basin pumping percentage allows the local utility to pump the water from the ground at a cost of about $250 an acre foot. I'm rounding the numbers to make it memorable. The alternative to pumping it out of the ground is to bring it from the Colorado River or the Sacramento River Delta. That water, when it's imported from those two areas, costs about $1,000 an acre foot. That $750 an acre foot cost savings directly impacts every single person, 2.4 million people in our service area. These are important policies, and they were difficult to negotiate. My experience working on our retail water agency served me well. It served you well, because without my experience, I was the sole advocate, the single person who came up with the idea. Without my leadership, those policies never would have been passed. I have made innumerable trips to Washington, D.C. and to Sacramento. For what purpose, you might ask? It is to bring your tax dollars home. The Orange County Water District depends on federal appropriations from people who we work in concert with, like Senator Feinstein, Congressman Rohrabacher, Loretta Sanchez, Congressman Miller. I have a personal relationship with every one of them. I have brought back billions of dollars in federal tax money to this area to support and build things like the groundwater replenishment system. Both districts were awarded the Certificate of Transparency and Excellence by the Special District Leadership Foundation. That's an important thing. What that tells you is that the districts are well run. Also, what you may not have considered is that Moody's, Fitch, Standard & Poor's, those agencies also have to look deeply into our finances to make sure that things are operating well and in an extremely efficient way. We are compared to every other utility in the United States, and only then, when we can stand on our own, do they award the coveted AAA. I'm proud to have led the Finance Committee policies that led to those decisions. We are now faced with the drought of the century. This is a very significant problem. Water supply is an important issue. Yes, I did help form CalDesal. The purpose was not to support the Poseidon project. The purpose was much like the Public Utilities Commission, to give somebody proposing a project a one-stop shop where they could get a decision made on the permitting instead of wasting $50 million in 14 years trying to get the 27 regulatory permits necessary today to build that project in Huntington Beach. No, I have not made up my mind. I have only called for an open, transparent, public debate of the issue based on the facts. I'm proud to have had a role in it. Thank you very much. I will tell you that experience counts in this business, and today I respectfully ask for your vote.
Thank you, Shawn. That wraps up the water special districts. So we'll move on to the Costa Mesa Sanitary District. You're going to be voting for 3 people. There are 5 candidates. I believe 4 of them are here tonight. So in the order of the ballot, first person up from the Costa Mesa Sanitary District is Director Arlene Schaefer.
Thank you very much. First of all, I just want to thank the Friends of the Library, because I think it's a great thing that they are hosting something like this, so you get to understand and know special districts and the candidates too. That is very important. And a lot that Jim said was taken from my script. Oh. But I'm just going to go on, and I'll try to get everything done. First of all, I'm married, and I have 3 daughters, and they have been born, raised, and educated in Costa Mesa. And aside from that, after I left the PTA days, I went on to become a planning commissioner for the city of Costa Mesa, and then city council, and vice mayor of the city, and then mayor. When I was mayor, it was when times were good. We were rich. We had a good time. We had a lot of development, like the Performing Arts Center, SCR, South Coast Repertory, and we had great times as far as getting along with people. That was important. And we always looked to see what people felt and let them talk as long as they wanted to. And then going on, I also sat on the LAFCO Planning Commission. I was a commissioner there, and it was at a time where we were actually forming different cities. So I had a hand in forming Mission Viejo, Aliso Viejo, Rancho Margarita, cities like that. I'm not going to go on this too much. I do want to let you know, though, that I was a member of CSDA, which is California Special Districts, and that is up in Sacramento. And I sat on the board and was president over all of California Special Districts. So I do have a lot of experience also. And in fact, people kid and say I'm a woman of experience. But I am. So if elected, I would maintain the quality of services we're used to, and that's important. And then also I would keep the cost of trash and the sewer services low. I want to switch gears now into sanitary district itself. We serve 121,000 people with trash cans. And like Jim had indicated, we are in the Back Bay. Some of it is Newport Beach. And I was surprised the first time I ran because they said, I voted for you. And I said, you couldn't, you're in Newport Beach. But then I found this out that, we are there. And we are I can't say man, we are 5 director board. And we all get along. We all come from different ways of life. We bring to the table different ways, different beliefs, and somehow we all serve you very well by doing all this. And it is important that at this time we keep this going because we're into organic time, And I know most of us here, you don't understand organics too well yet, but you will. CC&R, who is our trash hauler, they have talked to us about being the first to sign on a contract for organics and bring out a special trash can, and then that would be sent up to, actually it goes all the way up to Paris, California. And it would have nothing but organics in it. Organics would be like the kitchen, all the waste from there, bones, even waste from animals. It would also have everything that the gardener might have, the pruning, any greens that you could think of. That would be part of this too. We took a lot of time thinking about this, and we had a lot of meetings with presentations trying to decide if we should do something like this and if it was really worthwhile. And then after that, we went out to the people, the constituents, and we had 4 different workshops at different parts of the town. And we really talked to you about what it meant, gave you a presentation, stayed there as long as we could, just listening to your concerns, having you understand it, what we were talking about. When we do this, first of all, we would be the first people that are in, which we are in now, and we would save a lot of money. The rest of the cities will be paying a lot more than we have to pay, so it's good that we're thinking of you as taxpayers. In doing something like this, we would still be having workshops over again, and we would still be presenting different types of slides and asking questions from all of you and talking to you about what consists of having this organic trash can. The organic trash can would be taken by a special truck, and it would go up to Paris, and it would turn into natural gas and a fertilizer. It'd be recycled that way, and that would be what our trucks would be doing. They'd be having this natural gas. So I'm going to have to end. I had so much to tell you, so I'm trying to get it all in, and it's not working. But I do want to tell you this much, that there's 5 people that are on, but there are 3 of us who are running. We're known as SOS, and that is Schafer, Ooten, and Schaefer. And that's the part you need to know, because you need to vote for them. This would help us for continuing on helping you, and anytime you have any questions, a real person answers the phone. They don't tell you, dial 1, dial 3, or anything, and he's waving. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Arlene. And next up is another Schaefer, spelled a little differently, Director Mike Schaefer.
Actually, I'm the one that spells it correctly. Well, you're lucky tonight. The pages and pages of notes that I had prepared to give you tonight are sitting on the coffee table at home. And I've got a little touch of laryngitis, so bear with me. I want to first thank the Friends of the Library for doing this. I want to thank Barry for videoing this so people can see it. 2014 in the city of Costa Mesa has become very contentious, and it's not because of the elections in the special districts. So a lot of the attention that the ratepayers need to focus on is going in a different direction from what we as special district directors hope to impart to you. So thank you to the Friends Board and to Barry for doing this. And I want to thank Shawn for reminding me that I need to thank my wife, because without her, this stuff doesn't happen. And so thank you. Thanks for being here tonight. And our kitchen remodel finished yesterday, so she should be home taking things out of boxes, but she decided to join me here. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got while campaigning actually came from someone who's in the room. When you're campaigning, doing a campaign, you really want to focus on what you've done. You want to brag about what you've done. And I'll do that for a little bit, but more than anything, when you're campaigning, this person said to a friend of mine, I don't care what you did. What are you going to do for me? And I think we need to get that out. We need to let you know what we as candidates will do for you, the ratepayers, because that money's coming out of your pocket. When I was elected to the board in 2010, my main goal was to try to get some rates, get some money back in the pockets of the ratepayers. I took a hard look. I come from the west side of Costa Mesa. I grew up in the west side of Costa Mesa, grew up with the Perry family, and Art Perry's here tonight. He's not the Perry that's running without putting his first name on his signs. It's not Art Perry running, it's another Perry. But Art's father and my father worked for Mesa Water back in the days when it was called Costa Mesa Consolidated Water District. And our dads taught us, living in the west side, we didn't have a lot. So we always tried to find the ways to save money and make sure that there was enough and I came from a big family, he came from a big family, so this frugality thing is in my veins. When I was elected to the board in 2010, I really looked for ways to help get rates reduced. I was the one that brought to the board the idea of using iPads. If you've ever been to a city council meeting or any kind of special district meeting and you see these people sitting in front of book after book after, do you know how much paper is in those books and how much it costs to print every piece of those paper? So I proposed to our board and we accepted the use of iPads. When we go to a meeting now, everything's on that iPad. And it really saves thousands and thousands of dollars annually in printing costs. That was my idea. In the 4 years I've been on the board, I've proposed, and it was successful in getting 2 consecutive yearly rate decreases on your trash. We're going to try and do that again next year, and for the years that I'm going to serve on the board, every way I can to use the monies that aren't used for other things, let's use that money to reduce rates. It's your money, and we need to put it back in your pocket. Arlene touched a little bit about the new program. I've learned more about what they do with trash over the last 4 years than I ever thought I would learn about anything in 30 years of school. But there's this thing called anaerobic digestion, which Arlene touched on, where the organics, the food waste, the green waste from your yard, and I wasn't going to mention the pet waste, but you can throw that in there too. That stuff's going to be transformed. It's going to be picked up, taken to Paris, and turned into renewable gas to power the trucks that come around the neighborhoods. You're going to have 2 trucks in your neighborhoods. We can't get away from that. But we think that over time that'll reduce itself and you're not going to see the volume. But those trucks are going to be running on the stuff that you throw away. So that's going to be able to put more money back in your pockets, I believe, in the long run. It's such an innovative system. And when this was presented to us by our hauler a couple of years ago, and we struggled over it, we talked about it, we were the first agency in Southern California to sign up for this program. Our board unanimously supported this program with our hauler, and we are the very first district to support anaerobic digestion. The second group that supported it or signed up for it is the City of Los Angeles. We're going to pay less for ours than the City of Los Angeles is going to pay. So by being first, we got a preferred rate, which protects the ratepayer money. The other important part of being on the sanitary district isn't just the trash. We have what we've referred to as wastewater. And I think Coach Amburgey called it sewer. It is sewer, but we like to call it wastewater. Costa Mesa Sanitary District, this year we are celebrating our 60th anniversary. Our 70th anniversary, I'm sorry. I'm almost there, and I know what my pipes are doing at my age. You can well imagine what the pipes underground are going through. My goal is to make sure that that we continue to put reserves out of these programs where we don't spend money on. If we budget something and there's extra money, we need to put that money into reserves so that we can help this aging infrastructure that we have. Believe me, I don't want to turn on KTLA News and have them say, if you turn on the news tonight, there's going to be a water main break in Los Angeles somewhere. I don't want to see that in Costa Mesa because I know what's coming out of the water pipes in Los Angeles. You don't want to come out of the pipes that we use in Costa Mesa. I don't want to see us on KTLA News. So I will continue to fight to reserve that money so that when we need to make the changes, we have the money to do it. We don't borrow money. We have no financing in our district. Everything we have is reserved and we pay for it. So we don't need to go out and borrow money to make changes. Dr. Lucy Jones this morning said that if a major earthquake hits the area, it's going to be a worse disaster than Katrina. Like Shawn said, and with us with the wastewater, I don't want to see that disaster hit our infrastructure and be on the news. You don't want sewer running down the streets. Again, thank you for being here. I want to applaud the 4 of us that are here tonight. We have one candidate that's not here for whatever reason, and I think that's a disservice to all of you. I wish he would have been here to at least give his viewpoints. So to my fellow folks that are running, congratulations. I ask for your vote. I have yard signs if you need one. On November 4th, I'm second on the ballot. I appreciate all of your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. This brings us to a challenger with an interesting ballot designation, Mr. Brian Peotter.
Thank you, Jim, fellow candidates, friends of the library, and fellow citizens. I am a rocket scientist. I spent most of today, actually like 9 hours today, with the Korean Defense Agency. 7 of us in one room, 1 translator. We didn't get a whole lot done. It was extremely tiresome. But I'm here tonight, just like all of you, because I actually care what goes on in these special districts. Now, Jim, you said earlier that the best form of government is local government, and I think you're close, but the actual best form of government is no government. But if we have to have it, you're right, local government is right there with it. And let's talk about what all the candidates want to talk about tonight, our rates, and how can we make them lower, and why do they raise them every time they vote for them. That's not exactly true. But it wasn't only a couple months ago that everybody here tonight except myself voted to raise our rates. And Shawn Dewane was talking, oh, sorry, I was wrong. Jim Atkinson was talking about AAA credit rating at Mesa Water. Now, if the reserves at Costa Mesa Sanitary were on the reserves of Mesa Water, then no one would have to raise rates to achieve credit ratings, and we'd be able to discard the increase in rates. Now, let's talk about if we were to have Costa Mesa Sanitary, these 5 board of directors meeting once a month, what are they going to accomplish? There's the sewer treatment contract, and the big one is the trash contract. And talking about the trash contract, they are together once a month, and every so often the contract comes up and they have the opportunity to send it out to bid. It does cost a lot to send it out to bid, maybe as much as $100,000. We don't know. It hasn't been done since World War II. Now let me talk to you about that. They're celebrating their 70th anniversary or birthday, and the last time that we put a trash contract out to bid was under the Eisenhower administration. If I'm wrong, it's on this side of the timeline than on the other. And since then, we have had 2 wars that lasted 10 years, like 7 or 8 presidents. My dad wasn't born yet. Now, what are these board of directors actually doing if they're not actually doing anything? They're coming up with something like an organic treatment system that's extra, and we could save maybe millions of dollars a year by simply putting our trash contract out to bid. Back in the 1950s, we had different dumps to take our trash to, different transportation sites and trash hauling sites. We had different freeways and roads, and there's many aspects of the city that are completely different on how we would move our trash from our homes to the collection facility. And so it's very reasonable that even though we're getting the best rate of all the cities around us, that we might be in a special position to get a lower rate if we put it out to a competitive bid between CR&R and many of the other surrounding trash contractors. Now, since they aren't actually doing this, that their one job is to come up with something like an organics recycling program because they don't put contracts out to bid, why don't we collect up Mesa Water and the Sanitation District under one board of directors instead of having 10, and instead of having 4 uncontested seats and 1 contested seat for Mesa Water, we could have a very contested race for just 5 men or women to do water coming in, water going out, and trash. And it's very possible that we could bid the trash contract between Mesa Water or the city to see who would want to take it or which is better facilitated to be able to do so. Now, you're all looking at me like, how would you do this? And in the interim, when I wouldn't have 3 votes because I'm trying to get rid of their pastime, I would be out there trying to say no to every little program, like this organics recycling program, because taking our trash and sending it all the way out to Lake Paris is a ridiculous notion. To be the first in the state and then compare yourself to Los Angeles, who got there second, one of the most poorly run cities in all of California, even though there's a lot of competition for that, and then later say, we don't want to be like LA because they had a water main break? Why are we doing the same things as them and trying to do an organic waste recycling program? It's all a kind of a ridiculous notion to me. I'm not trying to make this my career or jump off into Congress or anything. I've got a wife and a daughter, and I love hanging out with my neighbors and just trying to make a better community out of Costa Mesa. And I'm not trying to make enemies. I'm just saying that it makes a lot of sense to have less government in this city. Jim.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Chuck Perry is not here? Okay. That will bring us to the last candidate, the guy who opened our meeting, Bob Ooten, Director Bob Ooten.
Thank you very much. For the past 70 years, Costa Mesa has had the mission of protecting the community's health and environment by providing solid waste services and sewer collection services. I've served 2 terms since 2006. I'm a retired sanitary engineer. I have 50 years of technical and financial experience. The last job was 25 years as Director of Operations and Maintenance at Orange County Sand District. I have a BS in Civil Engineering and an MS in Sanitary Engineering. A board member basically has 3 jobs. They are policy setting, strategic planning, and overseeing the finances of the districts. My background with 25 years at the Orange County Sand District, we did all 3 of those things. I got the experience in doing those things. I had staff of $350 and $100 million budget, and what I'd like to do is take time in the next few minutes to give you some examples of what we've been up to, or how I think me as a technical asset serves the citizens of Costa Mesa. With strategic planning and policy development, what I'd like to do is tell you about one program. There are a number of policies that I'd like to talk to you about and can and am willing to talk to you about. My telephone number's on my candidate statement. When I was running for election in 2006, coming from the background in Orange County Sand District, I knew all the regulators. So I knew the State Water Resources Control Board, and I knew the public health people. And so what I did was ask them, what does Costa Mesa Sanitary District need to do to improve the community and to improve itself? And to a man, they said, reduce the sanitary sewer overflows, community and public protection, health protection, public health protection. When I came on the board, there were 18 public sanitary sewer overflows, water coming out of the pipes, water coming out of the manholes, and there were 18 private sanitary sewer overflows. So what we did, from my background as a sanitary engineer, we began to develop programs and get focus. When I came on the board, the staff would say we had a sanitary sewer overflow. And I'd say, why? And they would say, but you know, the water just came out of the pipes, it came out of the manholes. So I'd say, well, why? Why did it come out? You know, and we kept asking why until we got down to the particular reason why the system failed. And so we started a program, or I started a program asking them to do high-risk, high-frequency failures of equipment. And that simple task gave them focus. They knew why the system was failing. And so with that program, we made some minor changes, low-cost changes, and we began to reduce the sanitary sewer overflows. Grease is a problem from restaurants, so we hired a contractor to begin to do the state-mandated grease requirements. We cleaned the sewer system. We took the sewer system over from the city. We used to consult with the city. It cost us $1 million to undo what the city had not done properly for us. We had city staff that transferred over with us that ran the operation. We cleaned and lined and fixed the joints. We developed a rehabilitation program, and now we're down to about two sanitary sewer overflows a year. That didn't take care of the private sewer overflows. We developed a sewer lateral assistance program. We wanted the homeowners to get focus and give them some financial assistance to do the right thing to repair their 70-year-old sewer pipes that generally had roots in them. The joints 70 years ago weren't as good as they are today, and those pipelines were cracking. So we encouraged, we've financially assisted 1,200 people to do the right thing, and they're way down in the number of overflows. The fiduciary responsibility. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm a very detailed person. I carefully look at the budget. I provide oversight. I look at every expense that we do. I help determine rates and fees, and Arlene talked about rates and fees. I'm an advocate of prudent reserves. We had very little reserves when I came on the board. We now have adequate reserves to do the asset management program like Jim talked about for the water side. I help determine that the rates for fees for sewer and trash collection, and I was an advocate to refund some of the money. We were building trash reserves. In the recession, you began to throw away less trash. We pay partly on the tonnage of trash produced. When the tonnage of trash went down, our fees stayed the same, and we began to build up reserves. That led to the organics program. 1 minute, okay. Well, the reason for the organics program is that the state is decreasing what we can send to the trash from 50%. They're increasing it to 75% of what we put in the trash cans that to be kept out. You've heard others talk about the organics program. I can talk to you afterwards about trash rates. I can talk to you afterwards about the Newport Beach bid and many other topics. So I would appreciate your vote in September. I've walked the city. I've talked to many people. Most people. What'd I say? Thank God. I wish it was September. I wish it was over. Anyway, my time is up, so I thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I want to thank all the candidates. I go back to my friends of the library hat. I want to thank the candidates for coming. I was afraid there were only going to be 3 people. Only 3 people RSVP'd. I knew the candidates would be here, and I was hoping they'd bring their wives. We could start to fill up the room. I don't know whether this is, I think we'll make this a program and try to expand it in the future. I think it's extremely important that you all have an opportunity. I know Ron, Jim, I, and others are walking the city. people are thrilled to get to see city council candidates, special district candidates. Many of them, like I said, and man, I think Ron said, have never seen a candidate. So, I appreciate you all coming out to hear us speak, and there is still time. You can catch up with the individual candidates and talk to them for a little while. So I thank you very much for coming out tonight. Do you want to say any more, Jim? Oh yeah. So thank you very much.